You have to learn to walk away from things that aren't serving you, from things that are hurting you, from things that never served you in the first place, especially when you build your self-love, especially when you improve yourself. You cannot keep allowing things, places, people, materials to hold you back from the person that you need to be, or the person that, the woman that you want to be. Hey guys, it's Aliesha, or you can call me Lai. Hi, I'm back for another video. I feel like it's been a slight little minute since I've come and did like a little talk. I love doing these little talks. I think I'm gonna just start calling them like self-care sleepovers or something. I don't know, something cheesy. Something cheesy, but I love doing these little talks. I got me a little tray right here. I got me a little tray right here, okay? And I got me a little glass of wine. I have my robe on, and we are just going to be having a lovely conversation like I usually do. Today we are talking about how to walk away from things that aren't serving you, or why you should walk away from things that aren't serving you. I thought this conversation was so important because this is something that I had been learning in my life and learned all along learned throughout my self-love journey, was to walk away, that you have to start walking away from things that weren't serving you. Because when you stay around things that aren't serving you, there is no benefit to staying, because you start when you start to learn to love yourself, and you start to learn start to develop and self-develop and do all of these things for your life, when you go back into spaces that weren't serving you or were never serving you, it doesn't align with you, and it could make you revert back to a place that you shouldn't have been. Sometimes when we got into this self-improvement era and the self-love era, you realize that some things that you've tolerated certain things in your life, and then when you start to learn to love yourself and you learn to respect yourself and have this relationship with yourself, you start to realize that a lot of the things that you may have tolerated in the past, they were never serving you in the first place, and you should have never tolerated in the first place. And that can mean a lot of different things. It could mean friendship, it could mean family members, it could mean places you used to go, things that just don't feel right to you anymore, things that don't align with you anymore, clothing you used to wear. You might have developed, grown up, and some of us have grown up and we have certain things in our closet that we haven't gotten rid of because we're like, oh, it's cute, but it serves you no purpose, because it makes you feel like it's not you anymore, it's not a part of your identity anymore. And we tend to stick around cling on to things because they're material items, or because of history, or it's familiar to us, like people. Just the other day I cleared out a lot of the clothes out of my closet, and I remember feeling like, oh my god, like I am so scared to get rid of these things, like, because I knew, like, I'm in my mid-20s, I'm 25, so like these were things that I was like wearing out, and I was wearing to like, in college, and I was just having fun, but like it was also a space in my life where I just did not exhibit like love for myself, and it was a space where it just wasn't me anymore. Like, I'm not there anymore. Not to say that the clothes were bad, they weren't bad, but they did not align with who I am at the moment, or how I felt about myself, or how I feel at the moment. There was nothing wrong with the clothes, but every time I would put something on, it just felt like my identity was being lost, if that makes sense. Or sometimes when you get around spaces where you don't belong anymore, or like places or people you don't belong anymore, you start to have nothing to really talk about or align yourself with, or relate to, because you're stuck in a space that you're not supposed to be in, or you just feel uncomfortable. Some of us need to move. Some of us need to move from places that we live in because we're no longer in that space anymore. I know a lot of people grow up in like small towns, and they wonder why they're like stuck and stagnant, because they're like, oh my, like I've been in this space for a long time, and these people in the space, in the small town, or the actual place, maybe it's just the actual place, is just not serving you anymore, and you feel like you've hit a wall and that you can't develop and grow because you are surrounding yourself with things that aren't serving you anymore, or things that have not served you before. There are also times where we get into relationships or friendships that have hurt us, but in reality they never served us before, but we stay because and I say we, it's not like everybody, but like, I don't do this anymore, but sometimes you stay because you're like, this is what I deserve, or you know, this is familiar to me. I'm gonna stay with somebody who's hurting me countless of times again because this is so familiar to me, or I'm scared to get into this other relationship or this other friendship because it feels uncomfortable, or it's different. And oh my goodness oh my goodness, when I moved like 2 years ago to a different state, and I felt so uncomfortable like here, and I thought like I had almost made a wrong decision, but then I realized the reason that I felt uncomfortable because it was new to me. It was so new to me, and there were so many things that I hadn't experienced here that it felt uncomfortable. It felt like I made a wrong decision, but as I progressed and as I stayed, that is really when that self-love just kind of kicked in for me, because it kind of, I was able to like sit with myself, isolate, be in a space that allowed me to thrive and develop, and I was no longer in this space of being around this place that wasn't allowing me to develop, basically. The thing is like, you never want to stay somewhere that you have outgrown, you have moved away from, you are like a space where you're just not welcomed anymore, because each time you stay, you lose a part of yourself. Sorry, I need to sip. You either revert back to your old self, you either indulge in habits that you don't even want to indulge in anymore because you're not fully healed, or you've allowed yourself to be in a space. You build up more traumas for yourself because you stay in a space maybe where somebody's hurting you emotionally or whatever. Like, you stay and you know you deserve, you may consciously know you deserve better, but subconsciously you really don't believe that you deserve better but subconsciously you really do not believe that you deserve better. So you stay around and you build up more trauma for yourself because you're staying around and you're allowing people to hurt you, you're allowing things to revert you back to your old self, you're allowing things to keep you stagnant because you won't move, or you won't go out there and make new friends, move to that city you want to move to. You won't get rid of the clothes that you want to get rid of. You won't get rid of maybe that house that isn't serving you no more, or the car that isn't serving you no more, because you're scared you can't get more, or that you don't deserve more. But you have to build your relationship with yourself, and you have to affirm yourself, and you have to give more to yourself so that you start to believe, hey, I deserve more in life. If you feel stuck at this moment, take a look at your life and what you have not let go of, and you need to be like, okay, what do I need to let go of? What is keeping me stuck in this space of not feeling like, I don't deserve more, or I can't allow new people or new things into my life. Some of us need to let go of maybe like certain activities that we used to be involved in, and instead, start new things that you want to do, like, I don't know, do Pilates, or go to the gym, or take tennis lessons. You never know. There's so many things that in your life that could keep you stuck somewhere, and one of them is definitely your mindset. Your mindset is so important going in to things. If you want to let them go, if you want to let things go, you need to work on your mindset, and we'll get into tips a little bit later, or maybe soon, but in this video. But your mindset is a big one into knowing, like, you need to let go of things, but also, like, it's not even just your mindset. It's the things that you're allowing in your life to unfold that you think like you should keep around because you're scared, because it's familiar to you. And I want to talk about things that feel familiar to you, because it's not easy walking away from things that aren't serving you anymore. And we're going to talk about how we know things aren't serving us anymore. Because sometimes we cannot identify what's not serving us anymore. So this is how you identify it, right? And this is going to go into one of my tips that I have here. You need to pay attention to how you feel when you do something. If you are around a certain crowd of people, and every time you're around them you feel anxious, you feel scared, you have some kind of fear, and you do not know why, baby, you probably outgrown them, or maybe you've never was supposed to be around them. If you put something on and you put a piece of clothing on and it just does not feel right, but you used to love the outfit and you're like, oh, this just doesn't feel right, baby, you outgrown that. You outgrown that style. You've outgrown what you know. If you get into an environment and you feel like you're stuck and you haven't gone anywhere and you haven't moved and you're like, I don't understand what's keeping me, what's stopping me. Oh, you've outgrown the place. You need to move. Because, and especially sometimes we hit a wall where we're like, okay, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work because it's familiar to us. And it feels like, you get in the space and it just feels good because it feels so familiar to us, and we've hit a wall with it, but we won't let it go. And when you've hit a wall with something, and what I mean by hit a wall, say you are trying to look for a job in the current state that you live in, but you cannot find something. You cannot find a job in the state you're living in. And you're like, oh my God, why can't I find a job? I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave my friends. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But you've hit a wall constantly. You keep hitting a wall and you keep getting rejected because you aren't supposed to be there. You keep hitting that wall because you aren't supposed to be there. You're supposed to be somewhere else. It's not serving you in life anymore. So why do you continue to keep yourself somewhere where you do not belong anymore? You don't belong there anymore. You don't belong there anymore. But you're scared to take a leap, and you're scared to go after what you really want to go after. Some of us are clinging on to things because they're familiar, but not because we like them or not because we want them around. A lot of us women cling on to certain type of guys because we subconsciously keep picking the same kind of guy who keeps hurting us all the time, because we believe we don't deserve more, or you have a lot of childhood trauma that you need to dig up and dig up the root to and realize, okay, why do I keep entertaining the same kind of guy? Oh, because it's familiar to you, because it may be something that was mimicked back to you in childhood, or it was mimicked back to you in I don't know, the media or whatever, like wherever you've like seen it, it was mimicked back to you. And like a lot of women, and I'm not judging, because look, we've all been there, but that's where that self-love has to come in. But a lot of women go back to things that are familiar to them because they're afraid, because they have not experienced something better. And then when they do experience something better, to them it's like, it's weird, it's boring, it's uncomfortable, and you're like, oh my God, why is this guy treating me right? Or like, I feel weird because I'm being treated right. But because you think that you deserve to be treated bad, and you keep going back to this familiar space because you're so used to being treated bad. You got so used to being treated bad that you can't even recognize when you're being treated better. And not even just men, but friendships. You're so used to being treated wrong in your friendships that when some people come around, you push it away. You don't entertain it because you're like, well, no, because this doesn't feel right, or they're weird, or they're this, they're that. Like, but in reality, it's making you uncomfortable because there's probably an underlying desire for you to explore that friendship or explore that new relationship, but you're scared because you are holding yourself back to things that are familiar to you and that do not serve you anymore in your life. You have to learn to walk away from things that aren't serving you, from things that are hurting you, from things that never served you in the first place, especially when you build your self-love, especially when you improve yourself. You cannot keep allowing things, places, people, materials to hold you back from the person that you need to be, or the person that, the woman that you want to be. You have to believe you deserve more. And that is going to bring me to my tips finally. You have to start by believing that you deserve more. The way that you start believing you deserve more is you work on your mindset. You dig up your past, and I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to continue to talk about it because this is what worked for me. You have to dig up your past and figure out why you keep going back to certain things, because a lot of it has a root cause. You have to heal. You need to go to therapy. You need to figure out why you keep going back to things that are seemingly familiar to you, or things that you feel like they're more comfortable for you. But in reality, that discomfort is where you're going to grow. So you need to make sure that you are healing from your past, so that when you look around you, it's a reflection of you and the things that you've healed from, rather than the things that you are still battling with. You know, a lot of what we have around us is a mirror to us. It's a reflection of what we've allowed, what we tolerated, what we think we deserve. And if you think you deserve dirt, that's what's going to be around you. But if you think you deserve better, if you know you deserve better, that's what's going to be around you. So you have to heal from your past, and you have to recognize when you are self-sabotaging. You have to recognize when you aren't allowing yourself to grow. And that brings me to my next tip, is to become self-aware. I need to do a video on self-awareness, but you have to be so immersed in yourself. You have to build a relationship with yourself to the point where you can recognize when you're doing things like self-sabotage. You can recognize when you are making mistakes in your life, when you're allowing yourself to be somewhere that you don't need to be, where you're tolerating bull because you think you don't deserve more. You have to be able to look within yourself and be like, okay, why am I allowing this person to treat me like this? Oh, is it because I think I don't deserve more? Okay, I need to go do some more healing. You need to hold yourself accountable every time. And the way you become self-aware is you spend a lot of time with yourself, and you get to know yourself, and you get to know your traumas, and you get to know why you act the way you do. And you go to therapy, you do all of these things to allow yourself to become self-aware about yourself. Self-awareness is important, and sometimes we can stay somewhere longer than we're supposed to because we are not self-aware about the things that are surrounding us. The next thing that I have is to have standards for your life. Okay, I'm gonna say, it's probably gonna sound like I'm being a broken record right now, but the way you learn your standards is you have to get to know yourself outside of everybody else and the noise surrounding you. You need to get to know who you are, what you like, what you dislike. You know, a lot of the times our standards is what we used to not tolerate in the past. So our standards is what we tolerated in the past. So sometimes maybe you were in a relationship when you were younger, and you realize when you get out of it and you're like, oof, I did not like the way that man treated me. Guess what? That's probably one of your standards. You don't like it because that is a part of your standards. That's who you are. That's not what you wanted. That is not a part of what you wanted. So that means that you can look at that past failure, that relationship, that friendship, whatever, and you can look at that and be like, okay, that's not what I want. So what do I actually want? And it happens from experience, but it also happens with just spending time with yourself and getting to know who you are, getting to pay attention to your feelings about certain things. If you don't have standards for your life, basically, you're gonna get everything around you, because you don't have any standards. You don't have any non-negotiables. Do you know your non-negotiables? Do you know the things that you preference or prefer? There's a difference between what you prefer and what you aren't going to tolerate. Like, you know, it's certain things in a relationship I'm not going to tolerate because I know that that's my standard. That is a boundary. That's a standard for me. There's things in a relationship that I will not tolerate. You know, because I have boundaries. I have standards for my life. And you have to learn your boundaries and your standards. Boundaries and standards keep you safe every time. Every time. Do not let nobody make you feel bad for having standards over your life. Do not let nobody make you feel bad for having boundaries. Boundaries and standards keep you protected from certain things out in the world. So if people can't live up to these standards, guess what? They're gonna fall off. They're gonna fall off. So when you set your standards right then and there, people are gonna fall off because they're not gonna like it. But the people that actually like it, oh, guess what? They're going to live up to your standards. They're going to treat you the way you want to be treated because they know that they deserve a you in your life. So don't ever be scared to walk away from something because it's not serving you, because there are people out there that will abide by your standards and they will be okay with what your standards are. Period. I've said a little bit about this, but my next tip is to pay attention to how you feel. Things or people or places, or how do you feel? Do you feel rejuvenated? Do you feel happy? Do you feel excited? Or do you feel anxious? Do you feel fear? Do you feel... And there's a difference between feeling fear and anxiety because it's uncomfortable and new, and feeling fear and anxiety because it's just not for you. So you have to look within yourself, recognize it, and pay attention to how you feel, and really assess it with yourself. Ask yourself questions. Hey, why do I feel this way? Is it because it's new to me, or do I feel this way because I do not belong here anymore? You have to really get to know yourself and dig that up for yourself. And ooh, my eyelash kind of hurt, and oh my god, you got to figure that out for yourself. But pay attention to how you feel. And I don't think this is easy because a lot of us have been taught to disregard our feelings. But you have to pay attention to it. Check in on yourself every single day. I talk about that all the time. Check in on yourself. If you can't do it every day, check in on yourself for the week. Be like, self, like, how do we feel this week? Why did I feel this way this week? What can I do to make myself feel better? You have to ask yourself these questions, because if you don't ask yourself these questions, you're never going to actually learn how you feel and how to move, or when to walk away from something that is hurting you or making you feel bad or just having like negative energy. You're never going to know how to operate from that. So you need to pay attention to how you feel. A huge one that I want to talk about, and that I've already talked about throughout this video, is self-love. Do you love yourself? And I'm not trying to be harsh here because, it's difficult to learn to love yourself. I went on this self-love journey. I learned to love myself, and that's exactly why I don't tolerate nonsense, and I don't tolerate things that just don't serve me anymore. And I'm still learning to, recognize certain things that aren't like serving me more. I'm not perfect, I'm still learning, but I do love myself. And because I love myself, whenever I can recognize it and whenever I feel like this thing is not serving me or somebody is hurting me, I'm going to walk away every time, because I do not treat myself like that. Pay attention to yourself. How do you treat yourself? Do you buy yourself flowers? Do you say kind words to yourself? Do you present yourself well? What do you do to yourself? Do you work on your mindset? Do you develop your mind? Do you improve on yourself? What do you do for yourself? Are you doing for others more than you're doing for yourself? Some of us are doing that, and then we're wondering why we feel so lost and why we are confused about our identity. But it's because you worry about everybody else. You worry about everybody else, and you have to focus on yourself. If you don't know how to focus on yourself, baby, you gotta isolate. Isolation. I always talk about it, and I talk about it in my other videos, so I'm not gonna talk about it right here. But I'm just saying, like, you gotta spend some time with yourself, build this relationship with yourself, be your biggest fan. If you aren't your biggest fan, nobody else is going to be your biggest fan. Be your biggest fan, because being your biggest fan is going to allow you to attract people who will love you the way that you love yourself, maybe even better. So you need to be your biggest fan. You need to learn how to be a friend to others. You need to learn how to be a friend to yourself. You need to have a bunch of self-love around you, so that when the time comes that you need to walk away from things that are hurting you or not serving you, you can do it. My last tip is, you can forgive people, but you don't have to forget. And I actually talked about forgiveness in my healing video. Check it out if you want to. And I was saying how like you do need to forgive people, because sometimes we stick around for people hurting us, and we think that because we're forgiving them that we need to stay around. And I should have said something about how in that video that you can forgive people but very well move on from your life, and love them from afar. You do not have to stick around for somebody that is hurting you. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you evil if you just like walk away from somebody who's hurting you, or walk away from somebody that just has negative energy around them. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's okay to forgive people that have hurt you. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Forgiveness is for you, you know. And forgiveness does not mean that you forget about what they did to you, or you just give them a slap on the wrist. No, that's crazy. No, we don't do that, you know. If somebody hurt you and it was one of your non-negotiables, walk away. Walk away. You can forgive somebody but not tolerate what they put you through. You can forgive and walk away at the same time. You want to forgive to allow that hold off of your life, to not have that hold over your life. But you don't have to stick around. You don't got to stick around to people that have hurt you in the past. Period. Like, I just said I need to stop saying period. But girl, do not stick around for people that are hurting you. There are so many people out here, and that's what I want to that's what I want to end with in this video. There are so many people out here. So many people. Why are you allowing people to treat you like dirt? Why are you sticking around to things that have negative energy or don't make you feel good? You know, this is your life. Become the main character of your life. And then you will realize that you do not need to stick around with people who aren't treating you the way you want to be treated, or things and materials that don't serve you anymore. You know, there are so many people out there. And the thing is when you, I read this quote the other day and I was like, oh my God, this is so true for my life. Because when you get rid of certain things in your life, you open up the door for new things and new places and new people to attract. You know, new activities that you can do, a whole new identity of yourself. You know, you open up that layer of yourself. But you cannot change your identity. You can't change who you are. If you are on the self-growth, self-love journey, you're trying to have a new identity and become your dream woman. You cannot become your dream woman by keeping around certain things that aren't for you anymore, because you will not open up anything that's for you. Now that I've cleaned out my closet, I can invite new clothes that actually fit me, and I can feel good about myself, and I could go out and feel confident because of the fact that I let go of things that weren't serving me anymore. And that's such a small example, but it is so true. Start to attract more because you believe that you deserve more. And guess what? You also gain respect. If you know how to walk away from people who aren't treating you well, from men who aren't treating you well, from things in your life that aren't serving you, oh baby, you're going to have so much respect for yourself. You're going to have so much respect from other people. You're going to be like, oh my God, people treat me so well. People treat you so well because, baby, you learned how to walk away. You know how to walk away and treat yourself well. You gain so much respect for yourself when you leave things alone. But you aren't going to gain any respect for yourself if you constantly let yourself be disrespected, or constantly let yourself be in spaces that you don't belong anymore. Love yourself enough to walk away. And lastly, new things are uncomfortable. New things are uncomfortable. They're going to feel uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable, it's okay. That's a good kind of uncomfortable. Because you feel uncomfortable, you're going to grow. You're going to grow every time you feel uncomfortable. Trust me. that is all I have to say on this topic. I hope I made sense. Really hope you guys enjoyed this talk. Let me know what else you want to see down below. And I hope it wasn't harsh, but it was just more of what's the word? Informative. Informative. But yeah, I love you guys, and bye.